Sorry, I gotta use this mic. Okay. We have beverages in the back. We have some food. We have restrooms there to the door to my right. They are heated. They are nice facilities. Somebody's here down for the moment. All right. Can everybody hear me in the back? Give me a thumbs up. What about now? Okay, I'm just going to use this mic. So, we are here today to celebrate the celebration of life of Jack Mitchell Canfield. Jack was born to Jack and Beverly Canfield. He was co-owner of the Ink Spot for more than 20 years. Jack achieved 25 years of continuous recovery. Jack loved music, slavery, and the cop. His hobbies included attending concerts, fast cars, record collecting, morbid jokes, and helping others. Jack was passionate about his career and traveling. He is survived by his loving wife of 24 years, Jennifer Canfield, and his son, Max Canfield, sisters, Cyndy and Tracy. He will be remembered by every life he touched. By the way, if I do butcher any names, if I pause for a second, I am sorry. So the contributors I'd like to thank are Lee Harden for setup and cleanup of the facility, Jim Childs for catering the Blockcina, Brock Anderson and Vicky Deichler, Vicky D, the 1224 Club for providing beverages, the Rancoda Hotel, Sherry's Place for desserts, Niall Coy for the slideshow and gathering photos, David Breckenridge for the paper goods and cutlery, Tina for the portraits, for the heated bathrooms, R&R restroom service, Newcomers Funeral Home, and everyone who has reached out to the family, brought food, donated to the GoFundMes, and the emotional support. The honorary pallbearers are Max Draven Canfield, Brock Anderson, Corey Miller, Bobby Larson, David Reed, Daniel Meyer, Joel O'Rourke, Cole Salisbury, Alan Haney, David Paul Bailey, Kelsey PRC, Damon Cool, Jason Hall, Mike Reynolds, Jim Childs, Bertrand Marmaru, he's French, and his family from the Ink Spot. I know everybody wants to speak, and I know everybody has been touched by Jack, and we're going to give you some time afterwards to get amongst yourselves and share that. The stage is going to be for a few close people that we have asked to speak. So I'm going to start things rolling. After that will be Barbie Larson. So my name is Cole and I'm an addict. That was my relationship with Jack. Everybody can relate to that on some level. I don't care if you can go out on the weekends and you can quit. I don't care if you're strung out right now. There's somebody in this room who Jack has saved their life, and he's probably saved his life. They keep running in the mic. I'm sorry, Jesus. So, my relationship with Jack consisted of sometimes random phone calls before I got off my work hitch to go grab breakfast. Sometimes it ended up with a random trip to Denver to go look at records. I don't even give a fuck about records. Sorry, I'm looking at the person here tonight. I'm sorry. It was also inviting him to enjoy music that he had no idea about. Everybody knows Jack as the Slayer head, as the metal fan, as, old school rock. So if you take him to a concert of some new age hippie stuff, he actually enjoys it. Jack was willing to invest in every hobby of mine as much as I was willing to invest in every hobby of his. I spent more meetings than one being judgmental and being himself. But the person I could share that with was Jack right across the room. This last year, I was going through, we'll back up. 2 years before, I was going through a rough patch, and I didn't know what to do. And I knew there was a solution, and I knew there were people there that loved me and wanted to help me. And one person that stuck around was Jack. And when things finally came to a head and everything seemed really good, he helped me change my life. And he was not my sponsor. I'm just rambling things out, but I'll give you guys some more. Everybody who knows Jack knew that he went through a bout with cancer. And he's probably spoken to a few of you about it. You've probably seen how it transitioned his weight and everything. But one of the things, the best part, and this is sick to say, the best part was the end. The day he got his diagnosis that he was fully clear, we went to Denver. And anybody that knows about cancer knows that it changes your eating schedule. And so after we go to this show in Denver, which of course Jack knows everybody, and he can't maintain his body heat, so he's going inside and outside and inside and outside. And every time he goes outside, he stands and he's talks to like 4 different people, and he goes back inside and talks to 4 different people, and I'm like, did you even see the show? When everything came to a head, our ritual for our road trips was we would drive back that night because I didn't want to stay in a hotel with Jack Canfield. So I ended up staying in a hotel with Jack Canfield in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And somehow there's a restaurant there that will deliver food at 4 a.m. And I have this video of Jack answering the door in his underwear. And the poor dude holding our sandwiches at 4 a.m. just looks shocked. I mean, what do you do when you have this weird looking dude covered in tattoos, giving you a cash tip, telling you a cash tip, taking the food, and he just slams the door in the dude's face. He was grumpy. One of my best memories with Jack comes from, there's multiple. I have a few family members here, and I celebrate Christmas with my brother. And the day after, when everyone's doing their family stuff, I usually sit home and play video games. Jack changed that. I get a phone call. Do you want to go see a movie? Not really, but I'll go. I get a phone call day after Thanksgiving. You want to get Chinese food? Not really, but I'll go. I don't know. My relationship with Jack is recovery. My relationship with Jack is family. My relationship with Jack is one of my best friends. That's all I got. Bobby Larson.
My name is Bobby Larson. I've known Jack for a long time. So, you know, I prepared a few things when this happened. You know, I was asked to speak by Cyndy, Jennifer, and I said it. So I stand here with a heavy heart, and you know, this is going to take me like, I read it yesterday and I looked at my watch and it was like 7 minutes. But if I get emotional, it might take me 10, so I hope that ain't too long.
Well, I'm excited to that mic, please. Can hear you. They can't hear you.
It's kind of short, okay? How about this? I'm going to spin it around. All right, let's try that. Anyway, I've been a friend of Jack Canfield's for a long time. Jack Jack Mitchell, as he's known by his mom when he's in trouble. And, anyway, I'm standing here with a real heavy heart today, like other people here. And, you know, on March 1st, about 9 a.m., I got the news that my friend had passed. He'd probably been gone an hour at that time, and I already missed him. And so, you know, I thought about this and what should I talk about for Jack? And I thought I should talk about, you know, the whole look, you know, of Jack. You know, some people, you know, don't know how that look was created. You know, that look took 47 years. It really did. He started working on that when he was a kid. So, you know, some of you don't even remember, you didn't even know that Jack had hair. Jack used to have long hair. You know, some of you remember Jack when he didn't have any tattoos. And some of you know Jack as being bald and covered in tattoos. And so it doesn't really matter what level you know him on. I'm sure he's touched you one way or another. Because that's just the type of person he was. You know, he was always willing to help. He was a real helpful person. And, you know, and a lot of that stuff was embedded because he'd been on both sides of the fence, you know. Jack used to be a using junkie when he was a kid. And then he went to the other side, you know, he was clean for 25 years and sold. And so, you know, being on both sides of the fence, you know, he was a liar, cheat, and thief, and then he was really honest too. So, anyway, I'm just going to go back to when I met Jack, you know. Back in like the late 70s, early 80s, people used to congregate to Washington Park. It was like the epicenter of rebellious youth. And I was quite young then too, being another kid from Evansville. We used to ride our bikes there in the summertime to see what the older kids were doing, you know. Usually, you know, we was already smoking cigarettes and we were smoking pot. And, you know, the older kids would be there, and they had some muscle cars, and they would, you know, all park there. And people would get a 16-gallon keg almost every day, and would put it in a garbage can, if anybody can remember that. You know, they would put it in a garbage can in the middle of the park, and they would put the garbage back on top of the keg. The keg was in ice in the bottom, and so there was a plastic hose hanging out the side. And everybody, they carried big gold cups, and they filled them up, and they waved at the cops when they went by. And the cops never stopped because, you know, people were playing hacky sack and frisbee and stuff like that. And, you know, usually somebody had their car doors open, blasting some 70s rock, right? That was the thing, you know, Germany, Boston, something like that. So anyway, you know, so Jack's grandma lived right across the street from the park. So he lived at the epicenter of where this was happening. So it's no wonder he turned into the person that he did. So, you know, I remember meeting Jack, and, you know, his mom kind of let him do what he's wanted. And so he had long hair when he was like 11 years old, and he had a KISS t-shirt on. And it was a KISS Army shirt. All of us rebellious kids back then, that was our band, was KISS, you know. They set the bar real high. The stage show, the flames, no shit. If you look at the album covers. And so back then, you know, that was the shit. So Jack, you know, being this, he was about this tall, long hair, KISS Army shirt on. And he came up to me and this other kid that used to ride our bikes to the park to see what was going on. And of course, all he had to do was walk across the street. from 11th Street right here at the end of the park to see what was going on. And so anyway, so you know, I don't even know how that went, but you know, he came up and talked to us. I just remember the look, you know. And so years later, you know, when I actually went to his house, you know, he was pretty spoiled, I'm not gonna lie. But he was such a KISS family. I think he had the sheets, the curtains in his bedroom, you know. So he was all up, you know, he was all about it. He probably had the little figurine dolls, you know. And, so anyway, so that's kind of where he started with the look that I'm talking about. And then, you know, as we got older into the 80s, you know, this metal movement came along, this heavy metal movement, you know, because really that wasn't our thing, you know, kind of was that stuff I was talking about, the older kids listening to Journey and Boston and whatever, you know, there might have been some deadheads hanging out there, but really that wasn't our thing. So in the 80s, it seemed like every week there was a new favorite band happening. And Jack was right on that bandwagon, you know. Back then we traded tapes and shit. And if you knew about them, they probably already wasn't popular with us. So anyway, so that went on for a while, and then there was other kids, and there's a lot of them, you know, we're not kids anymore. We're starting to get old now, but that were around back then, we started making our own bands. Well, we made our own band too, you know, from those days of pots and pans and broom handles, you know, of listening to KISS and air guitar to it, that there was quite a few of us that started doing that. And along with that, you know, there was a big movement of the youth around here, and so our uniform then was leather jackets and spikes and long hair. And anyway, so we started making our own bands, and we started playing at parties, you know. And of course, the kegers weren't in the garbage cans at the park anymore. They were in somebody's basement. Their parents were probably out of town for the weekend, and they were destroying somebody's house. These people were known as thrashers, and that's what they did. They took pride in that, you know. They tore shit up wherever they went. And, you know, that's just the way that it was. And like I said, that, you know, if you're gonna do something, you do it right. And I think that they were trying to do it right. And those that remember those days, just shake your head and say, yeah, they were doing it right. But anyway, so anyway, as it progressed, you know, that's kind of where, you know, he got that look, and he kind of carried that on. And then if you look at the metal people that are still playing the music today, they look exactly like Jack. They really do. I mean, they have the same tats and you know, virtually the same subject matter, and they're bald. Some of them are a little overweight. And anyway, so that's just how that went on for a while. And then I guess it was in 1994, you know, Jack decided that, because along with our little movement, there was a lot of partying too. And a lot of us got hooked on drinking and drugging. And I guess he came to a moment of clarity sometime in 1994. And, you know, Jack was only like 22 years old when he got clean and sober. But, you know, so older people would say, wow, that's all you party? Well, you got to remember what I said in the beginning. You know, he lived across the street from the epicenter. And guess what? They didn't do that on the weekends back then, in the early 80s at the park. Jerry would go like this. They didn't do it on the weekends, did they? They did it every fucking day. Especially in the summertime when the weather was nice, so we're winding weekends. And they started going back to the weekends on somebody's house. But anyway, but this was in the summertime, so. Anyway, so in '94 is when he had that moment of clarity, I guess that we all did, or that moment of nudge from the judge or whatever it might be. It doesn't really matter how we get there, it's just that we get there. And because you can't live that way forever. That's a fact. There's no old junkies out there. There just isn't. So he started getting into these 12-step programs. And I didn't see him for a couple of years during that, because I was still, you know, when you're on this side of the fence, you don't hang out with people on that side of the fence, you know. They're way over there, and then when you see them, you know, they're working for the cops or something, you know. There's something, you know, they're crazy when we're out there. So there was a couple of years that we didn't see each other, and then one day I seen him. And then I had that moment of clarity. Because this person looked different than the person that I used to know. Because he would rip your shit off and help you look for it at the end of his use. And that's not just a cliche or a saying in Narcotics Anonymous, it really isn't. And so, but what I seen was a different person that first time I seen him. So whether that planted the seed in my own head or not, you know, years later, I decided to come to that moment of clarity too. And lo and behold, he was still there. You know, and he had a couple of years, he had a car and a job, and all these things that we get when we quit, you know, when we, I guess, grow up some. So anyway, you know, and so after that point, you know, we went to thousands of these 1-hour therapy sessions, as they're called meetings. And we've actually spent really like thousands of them together. And so it was nice to see somebody on the other side that I did. And that hung out for a long time. And, you know, I know for the most part, you know, somebody said to me earlier that, you know, he helped me get clean. No, he just pointed you in the right direction. That's what it's about, you know. We don't make people do anything here, you know. We just point them in the right direction, you know, that good orderly direction. So, anyway, you know, obviously he touched a lot of people's lives. I mean, you know, you look around, and I know a lot of people that didn't make it here today. Because I have people that called me, and the place is still full. And, you know, after this happened, I talked to people from all over the country I haven't talked to in decades, or, you know, at least a decade, that used to be in this deal, and that's the first thing they said to me when they called and said, hey, you know what? 10 years ago, I was going through some shit. I called him and he helped me get through it. I said, yeah, I bet he did. And so anyway, you know, I'm not going to, you know, this is a celebration of life for him. You know, I'm not going to spend a lot of time up here talking about his shortcomings, because he had some shortcomings too. You know, none of us are perfect in this deal. And, you know, he was a human being, and human beings make mistakes. And so, you know, that, I can sum it up by saying that. And, you know, he proved he was that, not on a daily basis, but maybe on a weekly basis, that he proved he was a human being. So, I don't know, I'm truly going to miss him, you know, as well as all you people. I know you are. And so, I don't know, think about the good times and not about the bad times. Thanks for letting me share.
So I'm Rockey Anderson. Let me start off by saying I miss Jack. You know, Jennifer introduced me to Jack. You know, I was an angry 19-year-old punk kid, and you know, Jack was this kind of larger-than-life man. He was what I wanted to be, because he was confident, bordering on arrogant. Maybe not bordering on arrogant, but he always had that presence, and it was something that I really admired. He was always honest, and he always told you what he thought, and that was another thing that I appreciated. I was kind of trying to be this angry punk kid, but I was really kind of introverted and shy, and he really kind of helped me get through some of that stuff. Even though I've moved all over the country, we've always stayed connected. He's always been one of my best friends. I had the honor of being in their wedding, and that's still a really good memory for me. I got to tell him he had cancer. I had to operate on him, and that was one of the hardest things I've ever done. To tell my best friend that he had cancer. But we got through it. We got through it. Jack was brutally honest, as people say. He always told me what I needed to hear, even if it wasn't what I wanted to hear. He truly cared about other people. He did. He spent a lot of his time. He always talked about how selfish he was, but he really did care for other people, and showed that by his actions. He had an uncanny ability to just connect with people. I'd watch him talk to people he'd never met, and instantly they were best friends. And that was something I really admired. He had this ability to connect. Jack's been, one of my best friends and mentors ever since I met him. He helped me through a lot of really tough times in my life. Whenever I was really struggling, he was the person. He was kind of my go-to person. He helped me through divorce. He helped me through car wreck, illness. He was always there when I needed him. I already miss Jack. The things that, some of the things that really stick out already to me was the way that he would just be completely honest with me when I needed it. He would tell me what I needed to hear, even if I didn't want to hear it. I'll miss that sarcastic smile. That one's not so sarcastic, but he definitely had this sarcastic smile. And the way that, we'd be sitting talking, and he would, I'd be crying in terrible pain, and he would just look at me and smile and shake his head and laugh, and how stupid I was. And no matter how much pain I was in, that would get me through it. And I'll always be grateful for that. The night before he made his choice, we talked on the phone for a while. We both were kind of going through some tough times, and the last thing he said to me was that everything's going to be okay, and I love you. And I think, I don't know if he knew at that time, but looking back, I think he was saying goodbye. I went to the place where he made his choice the day after, and cried and threw shit and screamed, and then I sat down for a second, and it was just such a beautiful fucking day. The sun was out, there were these wispy clouds, the wind was blowing through the trees, the birds were singing, the dogs running around, and it was just a really beautiful, peaceful time. And I know that he is no longer suffering, and I know that the life keeps going. I feel like I got to say goodbye. Jack taught me that that I can get through anything, no matter how bad it hurts. You know, that I can weather any storm, and by trusting that there's something more than me, you know, that there's something bigger than me, and that that I don't have to do it alone. You know, by getting out of myself and trying to help other people, I can get through things. He also taught me that no matter how bad it hurts, I don't have to do anything about it. I can sit there and be uncomfortable, and eventually that feeling will pass. You know, this is certainly one of the hardest, most painful things I've had to deal with. And I've seen a lot of shit. And I can still hear him saying that in my head. And, you know, he's right. I'm going to be okay. And everybody's going to be okay. But it sure fucking hurts right now. You know, Jack was certainly not perfect, but I do, in my heart, feel like he left the world a better place. I will miss him.
My name is David Paul Bailey. Somebody told me before I got up here, or before this thing, that, oh, you can speak, it's no problem. You know, you don't have any problem. I'm scared to death. Thank you. If I have anything to say that has helped anybody, it is because of the 12-step programs that I attend. My best ideas got me into a hopeless state of mind and body, and I didn't see any way out. What I did do is I reached out my hand and I asked for help. Until then, there was nothing that can help me in recovery, because I cannot fix what's in my head with what's in my head. Imagine being an old man like me, 47 years old, when I met Hank, which is how old he was when he died. 22-year-old kid off the streets, a little rough. Addiction had its way with him, and he was finally willing to do what he needed to do to get into recovery. So he reached out his hand and he asked for help, asked me to sponsor him. And I said, well, you know, this isn't the Jack Canfield designer program. It's not the Dave Bailey designer program. It's laid out for us, you know. And I'm not going to give you, hopefully, my opinion. We're going to work out of that book, and we're going to get through it, and we're going to work the steps, and we're going to get through it, and your life will change, as it has for me. If anybody here has been in a 12-step program, and they walked up to my sponsor and asked them what they should do about something, you would hear the same answer from him you would hear from me, that you would hear from Jack, that you would hear from his sponsor, hopefully, because we stay in the book, and it's really important. I'm really uncomfortable about being in a crowd, mostly because, believe it or not, I was in a rock band for 13 years, and, you know, I like that show stuff, you know, I like that. I like being in front of people and showing off. And I found out that that didn't help me in my recovery. You know, I had to get real. I had to get honest. I had to be open-minded. I had to be willing to try anything to get out of this hopeless state of mind and body that I was in. So imagine my surprise when 22-year-old Jack Canfield asked me to sponsor him. I said, "You ready for this?" And I laid it out to him. And we were at my house in January of 1994. and we got on our knees, and we said the third step prayer, and he had a weird look on his face, because we were on our knees in my bedroom, holding hands. And he said, wait a minute. Okay, I'm going to go for this. And that was the beginning of recovery for him. Yeah, we all have our faults. And I hope that what I did for him helped other people and helped him. And there's always that thing in the back of my head. Did I miss something? Is there something I could have done? Was there something? Because I can tell you right now, at this moment, I'm in utter shock. Okay? Because I love this guy like my son. I was with him for 25 years. We got real, you know, and he did not strike me as the type of person that would take his own life. But this is a serious thing, you know, life. It's serious. And there are no shortcuts. We got to do the deal, and we may look good on the outside, but we got to get real with someone, hopefully our sponsor or counselor or someone that we trust, and get real on the inside, because our life depends on it. You know, I am not going to, I can see he touched a lot of people. I may have touched a couple. And there's power in his presence and what he did. And so I appreciate that, you know. But I got to get humble if I want to be in recovery. And I got to tell you, on any given day, me with double-digit recovery can be as sick or sicker as the next guy in the room. And I need to be able to feel comfortable reaching out my hand and asking help. I have to be able to be that. We're all equals here. We're all bozos on this bus, you know, and I need to be assured and reassured that just because I got a bunch more days than you got, that you think, oh, he's got all the answers, he doesn't have to, you know, I don't want to bug him. It's important that we reach out our hand to anybody, regardless of the amount of time that they have. My heart hurts, and it goes out to you, Cyndy, and Jennifer, and Max. I love you very much. I will always be there for you. And life matters. Finally, I want to end this by saying the antidote for everything that's going on with us is love. And if we love one another, we can get through this. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jim Childs, and I didn't really know what I was going to say when I came up here. Cyndy said to me, do you want to speak? And I said, I don't know. I kind of get emotional. Those of you who know me know I can get emotional. And she said, well, that'll be all right. I said, so you just can't hyperventilate and not say anything. And we laughed. And laughing was good in everything that's been going on these past couple of weeks. One of the things that I remember about Jack Canfield, I met him a long time ago at a Cinderella concert here in Casper, Wyoming. He had long hair, and I met him to buy drugs from another friend that I had met that was from Casper, and then I didn't see Jack again until about 15 years ago. And we became friends, and started to talk and remembered that we had met each other that way a long time ago. And he became a really big part of my life. And the last thing that, one of the last things we did together, I think Bobby, you were with us, we went to Gillette to see ZZ Top. And Jack, he called me that day and he said, hey, do you want to go to a concert? Yeah, when? We got to leave in 2 hours. So away we went. I asked my wife, can I go to ZZ Top? And she said, yeah. Well, Blackberry Smoke was opening for them, and I didn't know that, and he knew that I just fell in love with this band. And we got to listen to them, and we just stood in the crowd, and it was Gillette, so it was a small venue. And every time that he would change his guitar, Jack would say, that's a $10,000 guitar. That's an $8,000 guitar. And we got through the concert. Bobby, you had to take your other car home or whatever, so it was just Jack and I driving home. And he looked at me and he said, you know what I love about you and our relationship? And I said, what? And he said, because what you see is what you get. We're true blue. And I'll never forget that. And it's made me want to always be that person. Just true blue. You get what you get. And I'm going to miss him. That's all I got.
Wow. A lot of people. I think he was nervous. My name's Corey Miller. Jack for a long time. I was 11 years old when I met him, 36 now. And I wrote some things here, I'm just going to read them. Every kid has an idol. Most kids want to be their favorite athlete, movie star, musician. My idol came in the form of a man named Jack. I didn't see him on a screen, on a movie screen or stage. He pulled up in my driveway in 1986 to Beaver Century. He was there to pick up a girl that had recently moved in with my mother and I. Of course, Slayer was playing from a crudely installed speaker box in the back seat. And instantly, I wanted to be just like him. And it wasn't long after that, Jack bought me my first rock t-shirt. And if you know Jack, that's kind of his way of taking me under his wing. And from that point forward, more often than not, if you saw him, I was probably somewhere in the vicinity. I lived with Jack and Beverly from the age of 15 to 19, and those years are full of lessons and laughs. Some of the best memories I have. And I remember Jack would get up in the morning, get in a shower, and he would sing as loud as he could. Loud enough to wake me up, anyway. And he would replace his own lyrics with what was. He would say his own stuff instead of the real lyrics, and the one that sticks out in my head was the song Yakety Yak, Don't Talk Back. Well, he would sing, Corey, better get up and take out the papers in the trash, or I'm going to look to skinny your ass. Drove me crazy, I hated it, but I'd give anything to hear it now. Him and I spent many nights in his garage installing car spares with friends, and talking about anything and everything. I remember one night we were trying to get a new set of plugs that I had bought in my ears, and we used everything you can think of except the proper tools to put plugs in. get to stretch ears. And we pin caps, wood dowels. It hurt. And Jack was trying to push a end of a Sharpie we cut off from my ear. And he stopped and he said, "Are you okay? Does it hurt?" And I started to say yes, and he said, "Well, shut up." Shoved it in my ear. I'm thankful. A lot of my first experiences that I've had, times I'll remember for the rest of my life. My first concert, my first car, my first CD with a print advisory sticker. Jack was part of it, and you know, he was there, and that'll be with me forever. And he was always there. When I was younger and I needed him, and he could easily transition into whatever role I needed at that time. You know, father figure, brother, mentor, best friend, and he was every one of them at one time or another. Jack was the best man when I married my amazing wife, Kate, and who, by the way, she only went on a date with me because Jack talked her to it. Told her, what's the worst that could happen? You'll get free dinner out of it. She got a little more than that. So our wedding is videotaped and recorded. I had to wear a mic for the sound. And you can hear me if you watch it. And I'm about to pass out, like I am now. I'm hyperventilating, passing out. And in the background, you can hear Jack just saying, "Breathe, just breathe." And I can hear him saying that right now. You know, I'd love to be able to share every great memory that I have with all of you. Most of you, a lot of you were there at one time or another. And you know, so we do share some of those memories. And we'll always have those memories with Jack. They'll always be with us. Those are ours to keep forever. And you know, for that we can be grateful. You know, there was times that for me and everyone even here that Jack said exactly what we needed to hear. Not necessarily what we wanted to hear, what we needed to hear. And Jack always did have a way of knowing, or letting us know that no matter what life throws at us, we'll be okay. And you know, I can tell that to each and every one of you and have confidence in that. We will be okay. I promise. Jennifer, I love you too. Max, I love you. Cyndy, thank you.
My name's Bob Baker. Jennifer asked me if I wanted to, or if I'd like to do this. I immediately thought, absolutely not. And I don't really want to do it. I think it's something that I'll be happy that I did afterwards. Because it is an absolute honor and a privilege to get to pay tribute to our friend Jack. He clearly touched so many of our lives. Like a lot of you in here, I met Jack in recovery back in 2008. And it took, I wrote some stuff down, but I didn't bring it up here with me. I'm just going to wing it. Like Brock said, Jack was a larger-than-life figure, or he was to me. Just about everywhere I went, you could feel his presence in the room. He was a remarkable person. This is an extremely sad, kind of an angry time. And it's hard to focus and collect my thoughts at a time like this. So what I want to do is just remember how remarkable he was and try to say goodbye to him with some compassion and some dignity. And remember the good things, like Bobby said. And there's a lot of good things that he did for a lot of people. And a lot of you are here today. I was introduced to him through my ex-wife. And they were kind of close. And through that, I had got clean here in Casper back in 2008, and I moved back to Cheyenne. And one day he called us up and he said, "Hey, let's go buy some fireworks." And that was about the first time I think I hung out with him outside the room. So we went fireworks shopping, and we spent way more money. I spent way more money than I should have. He said, my wife is there kind of giving me the look every time I grab something that costs $80. I'm like, "Wow, this is cool, and this is cool." He said, "Hey, you ever do cocaine?" A good point. And that day we went to lunch and we started talking about bands and the metal shows we've been to. And we found out that we had a lot more in common than just recovery. Through that, we became pretty good friends over the years. And, Jack was there for me. Jack and Jennifer were there for me, and Max. When I was going through probably the worst time I've ever been through in my life, and I opened up my home, and they let me ride around in the back seat of their car. We took Max to the post office to get a passport, ran other errands. I kind of felt like I was their little kid. And they invited me into their family room to watch movies. And that was a terrible time in my life, and it was probably no big deal to them, but at that time it was everything to me. Just little things like that, and that's how Jack was with everyone that I ever seen come in contact with. He was an amazing person in recovery, especially. I know that a lot of people that I knew from Cheyenne would come to Casper to go to rehab, and they would do that and have to go to meetings, and I would always call Jack and ask him to say hi to them. And I probably didn't need to do that. He was probably going to do that anyway. He was pretty amazing at getting people, showing people that recovery can be cool. And wanting to come back and being honest with you when you're not doing it right. He just turned into a very dear friend. He got some bad news about his cancer. We went to San Francisco, I think the weekend before we started this treatment. We went to see David, I don't know where David is right there. And we went to see some shows, and we went and looked at a lot of record stores. And I didn't have a record player. So I finally went and bought one because I got sick of spending so much time in record stores. But we ended up renting a car, and somehow our navigation, we're not from there. He kind of knew his way around, but we ended up in inner city Oakland. And he's wearing this Kill the Kardashian shirt, and I'm wearing a shirt he had made that said No Lives Matter. And I didn't know this, and neither did he, but the Black Lives Matter started in Oakland. And all the billboards and every other shop had Black Lives Matter posters in the doorway. We're walking around, and people are yelling at us from across the street. There's broken glass all over the street. Jack started getting nervous. That was the only time I ever seen him nervous. And he started yelling at me and telling me to turn my shirt inside out. I was just laughing at him and saying, "No, it's all right." And then the lady in the record store, a lot of stores down there, they don't let people use the public restroom. They don't have public restrooms, so there's porta potties out on the street. And I told Jack I was going to go use the porta potty, and that lady was scared for me also. She let me use her restroom in the shop. Probably not wearing that shirt. And that was one of the, I don't know, that was just one memory that I had. That was a good time. That was a fun weekend. We went and ate some really expensive crappy food and complained about it. We did some touristy stuff together, which is something we usually don't do when we go somewhere. So that was a good weekend. And that was probably the last time that I really hung out with him, other than just a quick show here and there, or a meeting. I'm going to miss Jack, and I know I'm going to miss the phone calls and his laugh, and I'm going to miss eating dinner with him. I'm going to miss going around Casper with him, and he couldn't go anywhere without running into 15 to 20 people that he knew. It used to bug me, but I'm going to miss that. It was like a small town celebrity in Casper. He was an amazing friend. Glad I got to know Jennifer, Max, I love you guys. Cyndy, that's all I have.
I'm Kelsey. A lot of people here. So when they asked me if I wanted to speak, of course I want to. I don't know what to say, so I'm going to wing it as well. I met Jack when I was 17. I went to jail the night before. I was told I had to go to a meeting. I saw this goofy fucker sitting across from me with Marilyn Manson tattoo on his leg, and a weird jean jacket. I was like, what is that guy? He's a weirdo. Whoa. Well, unbeknownst to me, a little while later I went to the spot. Well, there's that weird guy. I was like, holy crap, you're that dude from that meeting. He looks at me and was like, yeah, dude, it's anonymous. I was like, sorry, dude, I knew all this stuff. Stop doing me, I'm sorry. Well, I was a constant figure at the spot. I wouldn't leave. I was there all the time because all my friends were all shitheads and I couldn't be around anymore. So after hanging out long enough, Cyndy finally gave me a job. So I was the front help for a long time. Jack said he had a drum set in his house, so I decided to go to his house one night and play the drums. While he played guitar, he's like, we're gonna start a band like Social Distortion. All right, dude. Well, later on down the road, we started a band together.
Nothing like Social Distortion.
Yeah, it was called Internal Pain. It had nothing at all like to do with Social Distortion. Anyways, I don't even know the countless concerts we went to. My God. I don't remember who it was talking about the overnight trips. Hey, dude, gotta go to the show. Cool. We'd haul balls to Denver, go to the show, and haul balls back. Sometimes we had to stop in Glendo at Howard's, I think is what it's called, and take a nap. We never got a hotel room. I did have to stay with the hotels before, but not then. It was crazy. Hey man, let's go see Slayer. Okay. We went to Denver to see Slayer, and I was with him when he met Slayer for the first time. We went on their tour bus, and we were both like, oh my God. We're going on the tour bus. What do we do? Carrie King, being Carrie King, said, we're watching football. Sit down and shut the fuck up. And we went, what do you say? Carrie King said, sit down and shut up. And shut up. And we're just like, and I had no clue he'd become best friends with those guys or whatever friends he was with them. Another time we did the, hey, we're going to fly to Ohio. And we're going to see Slayer. Okay. So we got tickets, we didn't sleep, flew to Ohio, saw the show, hung out with Slayer, ate, went to our hotel long enough to take a shower, got back on a plane, flew back to Casper. 24-hour whirlwind in Jack fashion, that's just how it was. I have so many stories about him. He was the one who would pull my head out of my ass on a consistent basis when I needed it. He was the one that if I needed anything whatsoever, he was the first person I called. The night my father was killed, he was the first person I called. He showed up in his Corvette, like, Jack, what's up, dude? Gave me a hug. There's so much stuff about him that, I don't know, we jammed in their basement on 2nd Street. And poor Jennifer had to listen to us and our shittiness for a long time. But she put up with it. All the shows in town, all the bands, all the people that are here, this is like the biggest, most fucked up family reunion I've ever been to. And it's awesome to see all the familiar faces because I moved away and now I see all these people. I'm like, oh my good God, everybody's here. And in true Jack fashion, I had to wear a Slayer shirt because I couldn't come to his service without it. You know, I mean, it was just him. I was going through a tote before we came here because I was trying to find an internal hate shirt, and I had plenty of them, but they all sucked. And I found like 10 Slayer shirts. I didn't even remember a hat. And I was like, huh, so, you know, I wore this one for you. You know, I mean, he's touched so many people here. When I got the phone call, I was at work. Had no choice but to work, you know, had phone calls like from Bobby. He called to let me know. I'd already known, but you know, I called him to talk to him. You know, everybody that's here, it's awesome to see a turnout for somebody who is larger than life, you know, who everybody seemed to love, even though he was a dick a lot of the times. That's just how Jack was. He loved fast cars, you know, he loved his friends dearly. You know, I miss him a lot. You know, I still don't know what to say up here, it's crazy. But, you know, thanks for letting me talk. It's good to see everybody. Sorry it's under these fucked up circumstances. Sorry I'm not like to say that. Jen, next with you guys. Here we go, this call. Go here.
Hi everybody. I don't know, you know, how much more I can add to the discussion about Jack. We were pretty close friends. I don't think I've ever met anyone else like Jack, and I really don't think I ever will. A little bit older than Jack, and I used to think that the hardest part of growing up was, you know, my own health and managing that and keeping myself in line. And now it really feels like the hardest part is losing your friends and family. Jack really had a special personality. He called it the gift of gab, but he could just really peel back the layers on anyone and really get to know you within a couple minutes and just really be kind of like your best friend and you know you within a few minutes. He could always tell you what you wanted to hear, but then he could also be super honest as well. One of the great things about Jack, and I think the reason why we became such good friends, was because of the music. And you know, back in the 80s, music was expensive, you know, and album purchase was an investment. And just knowing Jack and being able to have him guide me through different bands and different genres. And, you know, there's so many bands that I still listen to today based on his suggestions. Over the years, I got to know him a little better. I got to know his parents and Cyndy, Jennifer, and Max. I'm really glad that we can still, you know, be lifelong friends. And I really don't know how we stayed friends through all these years, especially before cell phones, because I haven't really lived in Casper much since I was a kid. And like somehow we've always stayed connected. Every time he would come to California or I would come back to Casper, we would get in touch and see each other. Like everyone else, he helped me through so many things, through so many life events. Divorce, death of family members, relationship trouble, kid troubles. He just gave me really good practical advice no matter what. Earlier last year, I was having a super bad day, and I sent him a text, and I said, you know, I hate everyone, I hate everything, and I'm just sick of it all. And his response was, what have you done for someone else today? And that's, you know, that's really, you know, how I feel about Jack. You know, is like he was there for other people, and he was always there for me. And I think that's it. Thanks.
I'm Zimmerman, Jack's sister. I don't know how long I'll be able to stand up here and tell you happy stories about Jack at a sad time, but I can tell you that growing up with him, you know, 5 years old, his favorite band was Kiss. My mom painted his entire room black at 5 years old for Jack because that's how he wanted it, you know. Growing up with him, he was always, you know, into rock and always into music. And I just remember, you know, going out to eat with him, he'd be like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe they're playing this. It would like be background music, and I like wouldn't even notice it, you know, but he was so tuned into music, you know. You know, there's a lot of people here from recovery. There's a lot of people here that, you know, did concerts with him, and you know, he was a small town hero. You know, he just, you know, was bigger than life. You know, I remember going out to California with him, going to a tattoo convention, you know, and there's homeless people on the street, and he'd pick up a conversation with a homeless person just as easy as he'd pick up, you know, a conversation with somebody who's famous. You know, he definitely had a gift of gab. My mom called it a type A personality. She also had that personality, you know, and I don't know, every day there's still things that ring through my head that Jack taught me. You know, he taught me how to live better, and he was my biggest confidant. You know, I would call him before I called my sponsor, you know. And, you know, I went to prison, and he was still out there using. And, you know, he lived with my son and fathered my son while I was locked up for 7 years, you know, and helped raise him. And, you know, and then when I got out, Jennifer and him waited to get married, you know, until I got out. And, you know, we had their wedding, and they had Max, and I was so in love with Max, you know, and now I actually have another little boy that I get to raise since I didn't get to raise my children when I went to prison, you know, and, you know, so, I don't know, I'm so blessed. I can't believe he's gone. You know, he was so fucking egotistical. I can't believe that he would take his life because he thought so highly of himself. You know what I mean? Like, really, that's, you know, I'm sure, you know, I probably was just still in shock, you know. I don't know, I think I have a different, I remember I used to sneak out to go screw around with my boyfriend when I was like 16, and he'd tell on me and I'd take it with me, and then I'd go drop him off over at Bobby's house, you know, over this little party house and stuff, and so then he'd just like hang out with all of them while I, you know, did whatever with my friends, you know, and I remember, you know, trying to go buy weed, trying to figure out how I would ask my mom for the car, you know, and I'd be fretting and trying to plan out what I was going to say, and over in my head, and he's like, oh shit, I'll go ask her, and he'd go up the stairs, I'm like, what are you going to say? He's like, I'll think of something when I get there, you know, I mean, he just, you know, he just could roll like that, you know, with whatever situation, you know, so, but, you know, he made work fun, you know, I've worked with him at the ink spot for 20 years, you know, and, you know, it wouldn't be what it is today without him, you know. I remember, you know, he was getting tattooed in Salt Lake and had his artist come here and tattoo out of a hotel. And back then I was working for Napa, I was making $800 a month. And I remember I borrowed money from one of his friends, you know, $200 to get tattooed in that hotel so I could, you know, get the hookup with the tattoo artist, you know. And shit, it took me a whole freaking year to pay back that $200 because I was broke as shit, you know. And, but, you know, he just had the connections, you know. I remember when he finally got a phone number, I think, for Terry King, you know, and he's like, oh, you know, I got his cell number, you know, and I'm like, we went to SLUR when I was 18, and I think I was like 38 at the time, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, it took you, you know, 20 fucking years to get that number. But, I don't know. I know everybody's got a lot of good memories with him. He's definitely a person who, you know, he would live life to the fullest, you know, and, you know, he made life fun. He made, you know, he always had a joke. I can tell you that we got a guy working for us from Sheridan, and, you know, anyways, he's like been over the counter, Jack grabbed his ass, and he turned around and he said, don't you ever fucking do that again. So Jack's like, oh, let's go, you know, he turned around, Jack did it again, you know, that's what he do, you know, so, but, I don't know, I don't really have much more to say, but I appreciate everybody coming here to celebrate their memories, you know, of Jack with us, and me and Jennifer will be okay, and so will Max, and life will go on, and I'm going to focus on the living, you know, because that's all I can do right now, and I'm going to remember the good times, and David and Paul, you know, I mean, you were like his father, you know, and, you know, my half-sister couldn't make it here today, and she's literally the only living person I have left other than my kids, you know, that's a blood relative, you know, my family is gone, so it is heartbreaking for me, but at the same time,